Hello. Welcome to another battleship inspection in World of Warships. Why are we looking at the Kearsarge? Why am I not completing the tier 10s before we look at any tier 9s, which was the original plan? Well, basically because I have been trolled into insanity by the community contributor Hivemind and the subreddit. Um, I don't really have any idea what to say to the spam regarding Hildebrand being the most overpowered ship now in the game, according to everyone on the Reddit, everyone on YouTube. And so I figured that we should probably look at a much older, actually overpowered hybrid, because clearly this community has the biggest case of fucking recency bias that I have ever seen in my life. It is absolutely fascinating to me that the community contributor Hivemind and the Reddit Hivemind have just now, with the release of Hildebrand, discovered that, hey guys, hybrid ships are kind of fucking stupid, aren't they? Yes, they are. We looked at Louisiana. I believe the tagline I put in that video was, quote, unbelievably stupid. The Kearsarge is the stupidest hybrid ship in the game. Full stop. There is no comparison. The ship is almost as good, just wholesale, as Louisiana. Tier for tier, it might be one of the most broken ships, period, in the entire game. And here you will see, yeah, we 14,000 damage, triple fire, a fast cruiser. Yes, that is not an abnormal strike out of Kearsarge rocket planes. The alpha strike on these rockets is over 80,000 damage, and due to the plane spotting, we also get another 15k plus with the Citadel on this guy. Why is the Kearsarge infinitely more broken than Hildebrand? Well, let's suppose that your sole goal in the Kearsarge is to spot. All you want to do is cosplay as a carrier with spotting only. Well, it's better. The planes are about the same speed. The planes have way more HP. Way more HP. A squadron of Kearsarge planes has almost double the health of a squadron of Hildebrand planes, even factoring in the reload time on the planes. The Kearsarge spamming planes on cooldown puts out more plane HP over the course of a game than the Hildebrand does, even with perfect squadron cycling on Hildebrand, which is, of course, impossible. Also, the strike time and the safety climb time, whatever it's called, on the Kearsarge planes, gives you almost 10 fucking seconds of spotting after you initiate the strike. So, unlike Hildebrand planes that give you about 3 to 5 seconds of spotting when you drop, the Kearsarge gives you so much spotting time after you initiate the drop that you can pretty much always guarantee a perfectly aimed salvo with the, the duration spotting after you initiate a drop. The damage per strike is significantly higher. A bad Kearsarge drop is pretty much equivalent to a very, very good Hildebrand drop. This is a weird aiming bug, in case you're wondering how I missed that guy so much. But you see here, 8k in a double fire. Yeah, that is a normal Kearsarge drop. A normal Kearsarge drop is an alpha strike between 8 and 20,000 damage and a fire count between 1 and 3. That is the typical Kearsarge drop. The typical Hildebrand drop is on a ship with no AA and no torpedo protection, something like a Bismarck, about 10 to 12k. Typically still not even a flood. Maybe you get one flood if you're really lucky. The guns. Kearsarge has, honest to God, some of the best battleship guns in Tier 9. These are North Carolina shells with Montana dispersion, Montana Sigma, and of course, unlike North Carolina, you have access to the American dispersion mod in slot 9. The armor is laughably better, obviously, than something like a Hildebrand. The tankiness, you have 31-second American premium DCP. You can Citadel things across the map. You have the range. you literally have higher just DPM. If you we mentioned in all of these replays, all of these reviews, that battleships are not really DPM ships. However, if you were to play Hildebrand and Kearsarge as if they were DPM ships, the Kearsarge would out fucking DPM the Hildebrand, despite it being a cruiser. We're gonna predict the Chungmu to turn out, and yeah, 6,200 damage and a triple fire. This ship is tier for tier one of the most disgustingly overpowered ships in the entire fucking video game. There are like no words to explain why the Kearsarge gets this HP, this very good armor aside from the side plating of the tumor, the incredible guns, it's an American battleship. So what does that mean? Well, of course, it means we get to run cold ECP mod. It, of course, means we get to play with the most balanced captain of all time, Admiral Halsey. The ship is just fucking gross. I mean, the idea... Listen, if this ship was a tier 10, it would be a strong tier 10. The idea that something like the Hildebrand is even half as good overall as something like the Kearsarge, I really just don't even know what to say to that. Like, you see, this is what I talk about. Look at how long the planes are spotting the Z. Look at how long the planes are still in the sky, and he dies because of it. I'm not even trying to spot him, but because it takes 5 seconds from when I initiate attack to drop the rockets, and then it takes another 5 seconds for the rocket planes to climb to safe altitude, I get basically 10 full seconds of spotting damage every time I initiate a drop. I also, because you are going to get one salvo off, right, with either Hildebrand or Kearsarge, you are going to use your own plane spotting to shoot once. Well, AP Kearsarge salvo has 3 times the damage as a Hildebrand AP salvo. You know? It has 3.5 times the damage of a Hildebrand HE salvo with higher fire chance. I mean, what are we doing? Like, what is going on? I want a serious answer to this, because I don't want to be this guy, but why is it that as soon as Wargaming releases a hybrid ship for 50,000 doubloons, all of a sudden the YouTube hive mind has discovered that hybrids are stupid? What do we think that's about, huh? What do we think that's about? Yeah, I don't really know what that's about. I've got some theories. I've got some interesting theories about what that's about. Yeah, I do. I'd like to say what those theories are, but I'm gonna not. I'm gonna assume the best of people. I'm gonna assume the best of people, and it's just a case of people can't think for themselves. Remember, Hanlon's Razor. We're going to utilize Hanlon's Razor here. Yeah, 15k with a rocket plane strike, getting Halsey, and then, it's... What are we doing? What are we doing when we think Hildebrand is better than a ship like Kearsarge? What is going on? What the fuck is going on? I'm going to review Hildebrand in the next couple of weeks. I want to get more games in it. Absolutely do not fucking spend a doubloon on that thing. Do not. Do not. I mean, like, I could just go 45 degrees to a Musashi in this thing, of course, as well. I mean, he's never gonna fucking Citadel me at this range. I have a ton of HP to play around with. Yeah. Yeah. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued, fellas. I'm very, very, very intrigued by the takes that I have seen on the subreddit and on YouTube in the past week. I'm very, very intrigued by them. I played exactly 2 Kearsarge games today. And I'm pretty sure both of them were higher than my max Hildebrand damage in 20 or 30 games in that thing. If you want to do nothing but spot, and again, we're looking at Kearsarge, right? Like, we already looked at Louisiana. Louisiana, overall is more overpowered than Kearsarge, but tier for tier, Kearsarge easily takes the cake. Easily takes the cake. I would say Kearsarge is like 95% as good as Louisiana, but it's a tier fucking lower, right? Kind of like Alaska, Puerto Rico. Like, Alaska's, I guess, a little bit worse than Puerto Rico because it has less HP, but it's like Alaska's 95% plus as good as Puerto Rico, right? And the same thing is going on with Kearsarge. The ship could just straight up be in tier 10, and it would be seen rightfully as a strong side grade to Louisiana, where the plane strike is higher potential but less guaranteed, right? Bombs are kind of the most guaranteed type of damage with a plane strike because there's no such thing really as dodging. You don't have to worry about torp protection hits, that kind of thing. If all you want to do is spot, this thing has more plane HP in the air at any given time. When you go for a strike, the spotting lasts for longer. If all you want to do is farm damage with planes and literally cosplay like a carrier, well, you're going to average, including the fires, about 12 to 30,000 damage per strike with the Kearsarge. In the Hildebrand, you are going to average about 4 to 12,000 damage, typically never a flood. Every now and then you can flood DDs pretty consistently. If your sole goal is to never touch the planes and play HE spam DPM ship, the Kearsarge is objectively better. If your goal is to actually fight any ship on the map and get shot at, the Kearsarge is objectively better. I mean, a cynic would say, not me, I'm not a cynic. A cynic might even say that it's more overpowered because it's a battleship. And Wargaming couldn't let a cruiser hybrid be this overpowered. That's what maybe a cynic would say. Not me. Definitely not me. Now, if you stuck around so far as the second replay and you haven't already posted your angry Reddit hive mind comment, there are things that the Hildebrand does that I think are stupider, and we will discuss them in detail when we review that ship. I think that circle drop bomb reticles are the most retarded type of plane armament in the game. And Louisiana used to have, if you remember, a very circular bomb drop reticle, and that got nerfed because it rightfully shit on destroyers too hard. And then Hildebrand torps are also better at hitting very bad destroyer players, and let's be honest, the majority of this player base is quite bad. So you do actually consistently hit like maybe one torpedo every 2 drops on a DD. Something like Kearsarge, it's pretty hard to hit people with these planes. When you do, you can still like 8 to 10k DDs, but it is basically impossible if they're not lobotomized bots, right? But the problem too is that we're going to see early on in this replay is the Kearsarge planes, and to some extent Louisiana planes, because they have more HP, but they have to be in AA range longer. They don't really give a fuck if your ship has good AA, which is very different to Hildebrand. If you have even competent AA, we're talking like Des Moines AA with no DFAA. Typically, you can expect maybe 1 torpedo to get dropped on you in something like a Des Moines from a Hildebrand. Pretty consistently, he's going to drop 1. Every now and then, he's going to drop 2, right? You don't shoot down a single plane with Des Moines AAA on Kearsarge planes. You don't shoot down 1. The kinds of ships that even can shoot down 1, like, you basically require DFAA infused good AA to shoot down even a single Kearsarge plane. They're in your strike range basically the same amount of time as Hildebrand torps are. But because the way rockets work, you don't really have to get as close either. So this Des Moines, we're dropping him, right? You see, we lose 0 planes. And it's a double fire for 6,000 damage, so he has to DCP. This is what I'm getting at. These planes do not give a fuck if your ship has good AA. You are still always going to get dropped and maybe shoot something like a G-Nan with DFAA up, Austin with DFAA up. They might shoot down 2 planes before they get dropped. Maybe 3. Maybe 3. Typically, they might shoot down 1 or 2. But then, of course, we're in a battleship, which means that we have battleship guns, which means that something like a Des Moines at this kind of range, we can very, easily shit on with the fucking guns, too. And also, what can we do because we're in a battleship hull with a, pretty hard to hit citadel? We'll look at it in port. Citadel's not super easy to hit on Kearsarge. Well, that means that we can get close and keep spamming planes. You see there a nice little Citadel at about 30 degrees and then overled that one. Also, what did we talk about with Louisiana? We talked about battleship hybrids being inherently more stupid than cruiser hybrids. Why is that? Well, the question that I posed in the Louisiana review that I will pose now is how many salvos do you miss out on every time you send the planes? Let's think about Hildebrand. How many salvos do you miss out on every time you launch Hildebrand planes? I'd say a minimum of 3, typically speaking, sometimes 4, 5, or 6. Minimum of 3. How many salvos do you miss out on Kearsarge? The ship is on fire. I would say a maximum of 1, maybe 2. 2 at the very most. Typically, you miss out on 1. Again, we totally ignore Des Moines AA. We get a permanent fire, and he dies because of it, right? This is the other thing. The fires are virtually guaranteed. Yes, every now and then you will get trolled and get no fires with the Kearsarge rocket drop. But, I mean, you have... we'll look at it when the planes launch. You do have... if I want to remember correctly, something like a 30-ish percent, 33% maybe fire chance on Kearsarge planes, which is actually close to the flood chance of the torpedoes on on Hildebrand. That is a 30-something% flood chance too. So of course, because you're dropping like kind of on average 8 to 10 rockets on people with Kearsarge, it's like virtually guaranteed that you will get a fire on them, as opposed to Hildebrand. My experience in that thing is you flood battleships and cruisers like maybe every other drop you get a flood, kind of a deal, even if you're aiming for parts like noses where you can get more likely floods. And then, of course, because you get the plane spotting and then you get 1 salvo off, you're way more likely to get a follow-up fire with a single salvo in this thing than you are in something like the Hildebrand. And, of course, you know, people harp about how, well, the plane reload on Hildebrand is crazy. Well, here's the thing with that. You know, you can't eat your cake and have it, right? Is Hildebrand OP because it spots all game? Well, if the idea is Hildebrand is OP because it spots all game, then it's not OP because of the plane reload. You have to pick one, right? This community has to pick one. And this is not a Hildebrand fucking apology video. The boat is stupid. You shouldn't be able to bring plane spotting into... I mean, let's get rid of CVs. Let's delete carriers while we're at it in a perfect world. But you shouldn't be able to bring plane spotting into a no CV game, because the teams aren't balanced. At least with carriers, nice 9K in a fire, guaranteed, basically. At least with CV spotting, I get a carrier on my team, Reds get a carrier on their team, right? Perfectly balanced as all things should be, we might say. But yes, the inherent problem with hybrids is you bring, nice 11,000, no fire, pretty unlucky, but 11K with 1 HE salvo, pretty fucking neat. You bring plane spotting into a plane free game, and the other team might not. Like if we look at Matchmaker real quick, I don't think they had a hybrid. No, they did not. So we have plane spotting and red team doesn't. That's inherently fucking retarded. To me, it's the equivalent of when Wargaming gives like the Reds 3 radar cruisers and you get like Napoli, Venezia, Golden Lion, and it's like, well, fuck me, I just can't get a cap in my DD now because they have, you know, they have radar spotting and my team doesn't. Right? It's more broken than that, even, I think, because radar does take some skill to use. You have to position your ship to utilize it, but you get what I'm talking about. It's a similar concept. But this is the point I'm getting at. Like, yes, these planes with a full build take 35 seconds longer to launch than Hildebrand planes. But if I'm in my Hildebrand planes for 100 seconds, then I haven't gained any value over Kearsarge. And you see here, look at how few planes I'm going to lose flying over all of this black AA. I still get 4 planes off. I am telling you right now, that would have been 0 planes dropped in a Hildebrand with torps. Now, we can, you know, we'll talk about the bombers on Hildebrand and how they're fucking stupid. But overall, throughout the course of a game, typically in something like Hildebrand, use the bombers maybe twice, 3 times in a long duration game. And then if it goes like the full 20 minutes, you'll use them 4 times. But the thing is, because you miss out on really nothing, like, right, you see here, my planes are back in 33 seconds. My guns are loaded in 5 seconds. So I can shoot a salvo, right? And then, how long do I have to wait? So you see here, my guns are loaded. My planes are loaded in 20 seconds, guns in 30. So I'm going to wait 10 seconds to launch the planes, I think. And then I'm going to shoot my guns and launch the planes. And then, because the planes are so fast, and because my reload is a battleship reload of 34 seconds, I'm not really going to miss out on any DPM because I've used my planes. You know? I can go flat to people like this and just get away with it because I don't have a above water, you know, citadel on a cruiser with 20,000 less HP. I don't have cruiser lack of fire, you know, fire prevention. I have all of these tools on something like a Kearsarge I don't get on a cruiser hybrid, which is why just on its face, battleship hybrids are more stupid. They just are objectively more fucking stupid on their face than cruiser hybrids are, because they give up less every time they lose their planes, and they're less vulnerable while in their planes, and they can position in places where the planes are easier to utilize as well. I couldn't do this in Hildebrand. What I'm doing right here, just parking here, I literally could not do this. I would have already died. I would have already died. And that is the problem in something like a Hildebrand, even like some of these other like Commissar, is you can't disrespect the enemy team while in your planes. Like, you can't do what I'm doing in Commissar or Hildebrand, because if this Victoria does his AP burst funny thing on me, I would just die. But because I'm in a Kearsarge, I can just bot the fuck out in the middle of the map and utilize the full effect of my gun power while utilizing the full effect of my plane power. This is not something you can do in a Hildebrand. This is not something you can really even do in something like a Commissar. You have to think about what you're doing before you send planes out in those ships. In this Kearsarge, in Louisiana, you don't have to fucking think. It's just like, well, I'm on 27,000 health. I'm not going to get two-shot by any of these battleships. Fuck it. Spam the guns, send the planes out. Who gives a fuck, right? I'm almost in this cap. I'm going to pop a 16,000 HP heal, and I'm just going to go right in my planes. And I don't have an overmatchable flight deck, right? The Kearsarge flight deck, I want to say, is 38. 38 main deck, upper belt, 32 nose and ass, right? You're never going to get, one shot at this angle by even something with 460s or 457s like you easily can in the cruiser hybrids. This is what I'm getting at. I know it's just a broken record like it typically is, but like, we can fly through black AA. You see how much damage he's doing to the planes, right? Boom. The whole squadron is gone. The whole squadron is gone if those are torpedo planes from a Hildebrand, right? We get only half of the squadron strike off, still get a fire. It's inherently more broken because it's on a battleship. The planes are literally better. The planes are literally better at everything except damaging destroyers. The guns are better at everything. The hull is better. It's in tier 9. I don't know it. I'm just flabbergasted. My flabbers are gasted by this. I mean, I don't. Have these people like not played a hybrid in 3 years? I mean, what are we doing? I've been playing Kearsarge, almost nothing but Kearsarge in tier 9 rank, because it's like one of the most overpowered tier 9 ships in the entire game. And you're basically bringing like a decent tier 10 battleship with good planes into tier 9. It's incredibly fucking stupid. It's way more stupid. It just objectively is more stupid. It's objectively stronger. It's objectively more overpowered. It's objectively better in almost every single situation, aside from like maybe finishing off a low health destroyer. Hildebrand's very good at that with the bombers. Every 4.5, 5 minutes it can do that. So I can put these planes into attack mode. They're gonna stick around, and now we can shoot the black for 8,000 damage. And now we get Halsey Confederate again. So what's the plane reload looking like now? Oh, 82 seconds. Oh, very cool, Wargaming. Very cool, Wargaming. Thank you. Thank you for my now 80-second reloading planes. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, again, this is not a Hildebrand apology video. It's not. It is a perspective video. Because apparently this community has no perspective on ships in this game. If no hybrids existed in the game and Hildebrand came out, you would be right to say it's the most broken ship in the game. You would actually, I think, be correct in that assessment. If it was the very first hybrid at high tier, right? Because there's Tone, but Tone's pretty much fucking dog shit, right? Like the plane spotting is nice, but it can't really damage anything, right? The torps suck. But if Hildebrand was the very first tier 9 or 10 hybrid cruiser or battleship in the game, and the community said, this is the most broken ship that's been released in the last 2 or 3 years, 100% would be in agreement. I would 100% be in agreement with that assessment because, yes, you are now capable of bringing spotting into a no-spotting game. Here you see the black. I come over here to drop him, but then I put the planes in attack over here. And what does that do? Well, it kept him spotted long enough that he died. Right? I don't even have to hover on him. This guy's DCP was up, so he couldn't get a fire. It's still 8k damage for free. It's just crazy. I mean, it's honestly crazy, like, how broken the ship is. Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, something like the Hildebrand is a very shitty tier 10 cruiser with okay torpedo bomb planes and then really good bombers that it takes 4.5-5 minutes to reload. At the end of the day, the Kearsarge is and keep in mind it's in tier 9. At the end of the day, Kearsarge is a pretty okay tier 10 battleship. If this was in tier 10 and didn't have planes, it would be like, nah, the survivability is a bit low, and the guns don't have quite the AP pen, but it's still pretty good. It's accurate, right? It's the same guns as Montana. They just have less pen, and they take a little longer to get to the target, basically. You know, it would probably need a reload buff. But it's in tier 9. In tier 9, compare this to Minnesota. I want to say Minnesota doesn't even, like, get better AP. I can't quite remember, but I want to say Minnesota gets, like, the super gimped AP. That's, like, basically, barely faster velocity, barely higher pen than Kearsarge AP. Kearsarge is a 4-second better reload. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. This guy's healing. Oh no, he's healing. Yeah, we can easily, it's a Yamato, easily 10.3k him with a fire. Kill him. You can tank potential damage because it's a battleship. This is the point, man. This is the fucking point. If you want to cosplay on a rock as a fucking carrier, then Hildebrand is like barely better than Kearsarge at that. And I do mean fucking barely, because if you learn how to lead the rockets on this thing, one good rocket drop on a battleship or a cruiser is easily equal to 2 good Hildebrand torp drops on a battleship or a cruiser. Again, we're stressing that, yes, 2 or 3 times a game, the Hildebrand does get to drop people for like a guaranteed 15k with the bombs, and it does get to drop a destroyer for like a guaranteed 3 to 10k. That's stupid. But it can't fight and kill anything in a 1v1. It actually gives up something to have these planes. Like the Kearsarge, this is the point. Like Kearsarge doesn't really give up anything to have planes. Like you barely have a nerfed reload. Overall, because you have 12 guns, yes, they're a bit slower, a bit less pen. I'd argue your salvo is better than an Iowa salvo in tier 9. In tier 9, I would argue you have like one of the best battleship salvos in the game, basically. You have a lot of HP. Yeah, the tumor is a liability, but kind of only at close range. At longer range, it's like we said with Louisiana. You kind of just skip off the flight deck, and it actually effectively has a very small superstructure. You can't get overmatched into the dirt by 30 mil overmatch like you can in something like Hildebrand. I mean, again, it's hilarious that, like, just the fact that Kearsarge is a battleship, it's such an interesting symmetry, right? Because it's like, it's overpowered because it's a hybrid, and it's overpowered because it gets battleship bullshit balancing as well. It's literally the best of both fucking worlds, right? Like 35k on Des Moines solely because of plane spotting and plane damage. This hit on the black and getting him killed solely due to the planes, right? I don't know what we're doing, man. I don't know what's going on. It's like literally feels like a psyop. I know it isn't. I know it's not literally a psyop, but it actually feels like one. There's like 500 posts on the Reddit about Hildebrand being the most overpowered ship in the game. Personally, I don't know about you, but when I am in basically anything other than like a Shimakaze, the Hildebrand is probably the most whatever ship on the enemy team to play against. You're in a battleship, it like maybe drops you for 6k every, minute and a half, which is like less damage than it would ever get with its guns. Uh, I I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to explain it. My only assumption is, again, we're gonna utilize Hanlon's razor, and we're gonna assume it's not coordinated malice to convince the player base to waste doubloons on Hildebrand. We're going to assume it's just people can't think for themselves. One CC says it's overpowered, the other CC agrees. Interesting comparison. Do you guys remember the defense debacle, when they did the Kitakami event and people were debating like whaling free XP to spending all of their coal, spending all of their steel, and every community contributor basically said that the defense is completely overpowered. To my knowledge, the only one who didn't drink the Kool-Aid, someone sent me this guy's channel like a month ago. This guy Gang Barang, he was basically the only CC. I don't know if he's even a CC technically speaking, but he was the only YouTube review I watched of the defense where he rightfully said it's basically shit and it's worse than Stalingrad or Marseille by a mile. And then all the actual community contributors were like, it's the most overpowered ship in the game. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And like it's way worse than a lot of the other super heavy cruisers in tier 10, obviously. And then they never played it again. You notice that? None of these CCs who said it's crazy OP ever played it again. Very interesting. And I think you're going to see the exact same thing happen with Hildebrand. You're going to see all these people on YouTube and Twitch spam like 50 games in it and then never played again. Because at the end of the day, if your goal is to grief the enemy team with a hybrid ship, Louisiana is better and Kearsarge is better. And that's just all there is to it. Those are better ships. They're better to plane spot with. They're better to farm damage with planes with. They're better to farm damage with guns with. They're better to actually play the fucking video game. God forbid you have to push in even on full HP in a Hildebrand against like any battleship player with aim. Like you lose. You're guaranteed lost. The game's over. You can't win it. All right, let's hop back in the port. All right, equipment. I think this is objectively correct. Equipment on Kearsarge. I don't think there's anything you would ever change. Obvious. I mean, this is whatever. Sure, grab engine room protection. You definitely want range. The range isn't the highest. 22.7 with range. Very comfy range. Yes, you absolutely hit things at that range, even with these floatier shells. I think you actually do want air groups mod. It's about 12. It's not about, again, I think I mentioned this with Louisiana. It's not about the reload time. It's about the squadron HP. That 15% HP is giving your squadron like an extra 1,500 health total, which hilariously is like almost what a single Hildebrand bomber has in HP. Concealment and aiming, of course. Also hilarious, this thing barely has worse concealment than Hildebrand 13.3 compared to 12.5. Amazing. Battleship moment to be sure. This is kind of just like I think the pretty bog standard captain spec for this thing. I don't think there's really anything you would want to change here. I do like the aircraft preparation time, taking 12 seconds off it. I do think that's actually pretty nice on Kearsarge because, again, because it's a battleship hybrid, you can span the planes on cooldown more than a cruiser. Because let's say you're in a cruiser and a battleship is pushing you at 12 inside. Like if you're in Hildebrand and a Montana is inside your spotting range, like you will never send the planes out. That is not a thing you would ever do, right? And this is again another thing that's overpowered more about this thing than something like Hildebrand. Like if you're fighting someone actively in a Hildebrand, you would never send planes out for them ever, because 2 salvos of your guns, you're going to miss out on 3 or 4 salvos of your guns, and every gun salvo is going to be like almost as good as a torp drop. Whereas in this thing, like you shoot, send the planes out, drop them. Oh, look, my gun's just reloaded. Shoot them again, right? It's fucking stupid. As far as turret traverse time, I don't think you really need grease the gears on this thing. Um, I do kind of like it because it's comfy, but Brisk is a very valid choice on Kearsarge. You have like decent top speed, right? I think it's 31.5. Yeah, 31.5 with speed flag. Very decent top speed. I think this is kind of overall the optimum spec, but you could absolutely trade Grease the Gears for Brisk 100%. And then armor. Armor is dog shit, right? It's definitely dog shit at like point blank range, right? Point blank range. This giant thing is made out of 19. But yeah, long range. Shells are arcing in like this. There's not a lot to hit. Unlike something like a Hildebrand, you're not overmatchable by 30 mil overmatch, of course, right? So things coming in at long range just skip off, right? Basically, the only accessible part of your ship to any battleship caliber gun is kind of right here around the turrets because everything else just skips. And then the Citadel is like kind of like bizarrely protected. It's actually significantly better than Iowa, like way, way, way better than Iowa. One, it's a bit lower in the water, but you notice, look at this. What is this? 32 millimeter roof. We'll look at. We can look at Wisconsin. Wisconsin kind of has Iowa armor. It's just a bit lowered. Tier 10 battleships. But if we look at Wisconsin, I want you to look at the Citadel roof, right? Like Iowa, it's overmatchable by basically all battleships. And Kearsarge doesn't get that weakness. So Kearsarge and Montana even gets that weakness too, right? If we look at Montana, right? Overmatchable roof on the Citadel. For some reason, Kearsarge gets this 32 deck on the Citadel, which means it's actually a waterline salvo, right? This is what I mentioned in the Montana video. It's theoretically waterline, but anything coming in just above the waterline hits the roof and overmatches and Citadels you, right? Kearsarge, that doesn't happen. It's actually waterline. So, you know, they actually have to go through the Citadel, the real protection of this thing, right? Which is, you know, at its minimum 330 plus, you know, another 38. It's pretty solid. It's very low in the water. You absolutely can go flat to people in this thing and take like almost zero damage fairly consistently. Yeah, like with Montana, sometimes they get those perfect salvos where you get 40, 50k. But like realistically speaking, if I'm on full health, I will turn broadside to any ship in the game in this thing. It's pure cope by BV players that you take giant hits and things with waterline Citadels. It really is. Yeah, if you want to shit on people with an overpowered hybrid, then you buy Kearsarge for Cole. It's free, right? I think it might even be available for doubloons at a half the cost, a third the cost of Hildebrand. And it's a tier 9 premium, so it earns credits. Like realistically speaking, this ship is inarguably, factually, mathematically, technically, scientifically correct statement that this ship is better than Hildebrand. At everything. It is better at everything except damaging destroyers for about 15,000 damage a game. That's the one thing this ship can't do. Everything else, it is significantly better than Hildebrand at. If you drank the Kool-Aid by all these CCs who said it's broken, the hybrid plane's broken, then just get the fucking Kearsarge, man. Get the Kearsarge and play it in Super Ship Matchmaker and literally outperform anyone that's playing Hildebrand. Because the ship is fucking better. It's more stupid. It's more overpowered. It's more resilient to every single situation, basically, in the entire fucking game. More resilient to subs, even though it doesn't have a Hydro, because you get American DCP, Battleship Homing. More resistant to HE spam. More resistant to all Battleship AP. More resistant to planes. Pumps out more damage with its planes, spots better with its planes, pumps out more raw damage with its guns, can delete things with its guns, can push in, can tank, can do literally everything. Just get the fucking Kearsarge. I mean, please don't. Because, like, then you'll be a scumbag like me who plays nothing but Kearsarge in Tier 9 ranked and just brutalizes everybody. But, yeah, if your goal is overpowered hybrid for randoms, like, the ship is just better. And it doesn't even matter if you get up tiered, it's still better. All right, we're going to go back to some tier 10 battleships. I just got trolled into fucking insanity. Like I did with my very first video with the Wisconsin review. Basically just got trolled into insanity by the community's take on it. And now we're back kind of full circle where it started. So we will see you in the next one for another tier 10 BB. And thank you for watching.